Great to have you in. By the way, the Raiders are second in the NFL in yards per game, only behind the L.A. Rams. And I've been critical of John Gruden that game yesterday. And the Browns were a big component to it. That game was so much fun to watch yesterday. John Gruden and that offense, they are moving the chains. And they've had a pretty tough schedule. Rams at Miami in 95-degree weather. It's not just the Browns everybody's talking about. Let's go to Peter King, Football Morning in America via the Coward Global Satellite Network. Let's start with Frank Reich. A couple years ago, Chuck Pagano did a fake punt against New England, and I criticized it because I didn't know what it was. I didn't get the point, and I thought it was poorly designed. I'm okay with Frank Reich going for it. Your thoughts yesterday?
When I first saw it, I hated it because, in my opinion, I just believed that, there are times when you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And I thought it was time on 4th and 4 in your own territory to take the tie. But the more I thought about it as the night went on, I just gave it a lot of thought. And I thought he is doing exactly what one of his mentors, Doug Peterson, did all last year.
Yep.
Anytime you got near midfield and you thought you had a better than 50% chance to make it, you'd go for it. And here's the point to make, Colin, that I think a lot of people who think this is a dumb play forget. Now, Andrew Luck was 40 of 61 to that point.
Yeah.
And the Houston defense was tired.
Yes.
And the pass rush wasn't getting home on that series as much as it had earlier in the game. So I just thought, the more I thought of it, and again, I don't want to criticize Luck too much, but to me, Luck made a poor throw on this play. He acknowledged it after the game. So in my opinion, if I'm Frank Reich, I agree with him. I'd do this again if the same play came up tomorrow.
Yeah, they're 1-3 instead of 1-2-1. I believe year one, you're about culture. He's changing the culture. They're going to be hyper-aggressive. So was Philadelphia, and I like it. All right, let's talk Raiders and Browns. It was a crazy, crazy fun football game. Baker had 4 turnovers. That's not good enough, but he's fun, and he's going to work in this league. Regarding the level, I'm not sure, but he's going to work. Gruden now, they're second in the NFL yards per play. They had a 400-yard quarterback, a couple of 100-yard receivers, a 100-yard running back. I didn't think Gruden was going to work. I got to be honest. I've watched the Dolphins right now. I know they're in last, Peter, but a lot of what he's doing offensively is really good, and they're moving the ball against pretty good defenses.
Here's what happens in the NFL, which is why people love it so much, why the ratings stay high. Because if you had told anybody a month ago that the game of the week in week 4 of the NFL season was going to be Cleveland and Oakland, you would have been laughed out of your sanitarium. And so to me, I just look at this as 2 teams that are incredibly fun to watch. The Cleveland Browns have become one of the top 6, 7 compelling teams to watch every Sunday now.
Yeah. Since
the Thursday night game against the Jets. I'm going to make sure that one of my screens has the Browns on. They're really a lot of fun. And I think there's 2 other things about the Browns. Number 1, Jarvis Landry has made it really uncomfortable for them to stink. He's not going to stand for it.
Yeah.
He showed you that in Hard Knocks, and he shows you that on the sidelines. And number 2, look, I always thought this about Baker Mayfield. Just the limited college football I watched. He's worth the price of admission. And when he doesn't make the dumb throw he made deep into coverage, that was one of his only mistakes, I thought, on Sunday. When he doesn't make that throw anymore, and I don't think he's going to make it very long, in my opinion, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL.
A couple of things. I'm watching all these offenses, and it's become, it's a little bit of a fireworks show, but I'm okay with it because I think in the end, fantasy sports, which even my sister plays, and she doesn't like football, more offense, fans win, consumers win, and I'm okay with it. The NBA now is not about rebounding and defense. It's about possessions and threes, and I'm okay with it. Aaron Rodgers, though, his passer rating's at about 55 this year. They stunk yesterday. Devontae Adams is a very good player. I've always felt he and McCarthy, they won't say it publicly, but it never has felt as good as a McVay or a Goff. I watched Green Bay yesterday, Peter, and something's not right offensively, and I don't know what it is. What is it?
I agree with you, Colin, 100%, and you could hear it in Rodgers' voice after the game. When is the last time you win an NFL game by 22 points and everybody's ticked off? But that's what happened in Green Bay. I think the one thing that if I were Mike McCarthy right now, I would call Aaron Rodgers in my office this week and say, listen, let's strip away everything. I'm the coach, you're the quarterback. Let's forget that. Let's forget, authority, not authority, whatever. Tell me what's wrong. Tell me what you don't like, and let's talk about it. You're the guy who's got to be the engineer for this. I can be the architect, but you have to go out on the field and make sure things run well. Obviously, you're not happy. And I think it has to do with the fact that Aaron Rodgers looks around the NFL and he sees so much imagination right now, particularly in bombs-away places like the Los Angeles Rams. And he said, why aren't we that imaginative?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to that. I really do think there's a lot. You look around at your peers and your colleagues, and if they're flourishing and you're struggling, this is a real human quality for all of us. Finally, Le'Veon Bell trades out there. I got to be honest, for a Sam Darnold, for an Andrew Luck, boy, he's an 80-catch, 200-carry guy. Do you think we'll see a trade transpire here in the next month? Because I honestly feel like somebody's going to trade a second-rounder for him.
At the end of the day, Colin, I think it was Adam Schefter on Sunday who said that they want a 2 and a pretty good player for him. Well, if I were the Steelers, I would do one or the other, because I don't think any team in its right mind is going to pay Le'Veon Bell knowing that starting in 2019, they're also going to have to pay him whatever the number is, $17 million a year. Pick a number out of the hat. So, but to me, I would love this guy on the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
For this reason, the Colts are going to struggle to protect Andrew Luck. They're going to struggle big time. So if they're going to struggle, get the ball to a good receiver out of the backfield in space 6 or 8 times a game and let him try to make something happen. You see the Giants trying to do that with Saquon now.
Yeah.
And Saquon Barkley, maybe 3 out of every 5 times gets stuffed. But a couple of times, at least 3-4 times a game in space, he's going to make a first down and maybe make a huge play. So if the Colts could just swallow losing something good in the draft in 2019 or 20 and then swallow paying him $1 jillion, I think that would be the perfect place.
Yeah, I don't think there's a second-round player coming out of college next year that's Le'Veon Bell. He is wildly productive. And, again, the cap's going up every year. I'd roll the dice on it. Peter King, by the way, NBCSports.com, Football Morning in America, formerly of MMQB. Great talking to you, Peter, on a Monday. Thank you for stopping by for us.
Thank you, Colin.
You bet. Where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong at the top of the next hour. The way I look at Le'Veon Bell is this, is when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, superstar receivers, and a good O-line, the Steelers, he's not as crucial. You're already paying Antonio Brown a lot. You're going to pay Juju Smith-Schuster a lot. You're paying offensive linemen a lot. You're paying Big Ben a lot. They need to pay some money on the defensive side. Okay, so I get the Steelers saying, look, we're paying too much money. You can't pay. Their defense is already leaking everywhere. But if you're the Colts and you're paying Andrew Luck and that is it, and you don't, and the NFL only gives you about one great pass rusher a year. They give you about 2 quarterbacks, about 1 pass rusher. And the Colts, are they going to get that pass rusher? I think the Jets need a pop for Sam Darnold. Gurley makes so much sense when you have young Jared Goff. Mitch Trubisky, I'd get him a star running back. Big Ben, Drew Brees, I'm not sure I'd pay that price. Drew Brees has weapons. He's got, Thomas on the outside. He's a great player. He's got a good O-line. They're paying money to their O-line. Coming up next, we do it every Monday, where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong. Good Lord, that was a fast first hour. That was a fast first hour. Boy, the puff your chest out Philadelphia Eagles don't look the same now, do they? Well, let's talk about that next.
Friday this fall. 4 comedy legends are growing old, but not growing up.
Who are you guys? The cool